Mic'd up.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Yankees Coast to Coast with your hosts, me and him. We really appreciate you coming tonight. We haven't been here in a while. It's been a little quiet, not too much activity in Yankee land. So we've sort of decided to handle some family stuff and deal with that. And then rev up for a pretty busy season because it's about to get very, very active. The best part is when they start getting hurt and playing games and making mistakes and then fighting for spots, and it's when it gets exciting. And I don't know about you, Michael, my dear friend, but isn't this the best week of the year for you? I love the beginning of spring training. It's the best.
I like the beginning of spring training. I would like it more if my stupid YouTube TV would get MLB Network back, but that's, what can you do? It's better than, losing MSG like most of you people back on the East Coast have done as the Rangers and Knicks heat up. But I could be losing CBS too, which is not good. But who knows? I'll figure it out. I do know I get my free MLB TV, so I can watch everything in its mother. When T-Mobile
I love this interesting digression, by the way.
Yeah, well, I would like it more if I got to see more content. I'm getting tired of listening to loud outs on MLB radio every day because they play it for 3 hours and then repeat it for 3 hours before they go to another show.
But can't you find all this stuff on the
yes, I can.
information superhighway?
I could find it on the interwebs.
I mean,
that Al
just
Gore
you got to do is go down to Nashville, call up Al Gore, and he'll show you how to find all that.
Is he still in Nashville?
He's still in Nashville.
Tipper is the one that's pulling everything off because she's putting maturity labels on everything.
I think Tipper. I think they split a long time ago.
No, they're together still.
They're back again? I thought they broke up.
They've always been together. They never split.
I have a feeling you're wrong. I'm going to do that. I think they divorced.
No, they are not divorced. They are together.
Tipper and Al Gore. Al Gore. Where did they go wrong? They were divorced after 40 years.
When did they get divorced?
A couple issued a statement on Tuesday saying that the mutually supported decision that they will
Tuesday of this week. They just got divorced.
This goes back. This goes back to can't see the date. I hate when they don't give you dates of things anymore. Come on. No, they have been gone. This is how out of it you are. That's
2010 years separated.
Are they back together? I don't think so.
No.
I think he got fat and ugly, and she lost interest and went for somebody.
He was thinner than she was, but that's okay. I don't really care about Al and Tipper.
I know. How do we go? We are really off on tangents tonight. Very worried about it.
We got so anyhow. For tonight, our topic, if we ever get to it, pitchers and catchers are reporting, even for the Yankees, who have injuries before reporting dates.
I love how the Yankees get hurt before the season.
Yeah, we're going to talk about pitchers and catchers. Well, we're going to talk about pitchers. We're not going to talk about catchers. We'll leave that for a later date. We're going to talk about the expected starting rotation and what the expectations are for the Yankee starters as far as where they stand amongst Major League starting rotation. What kind of starting depth do the Yankees have? And then we'll get into the bullpen. Talk first about their high leverage relievers and then their other bullpen options. But we want to start off with, the news of the day, I guess, is the news of yesterday, which is the Bregman signing by the Red Sox. And Adam and I were talking about it briefly, and we pretty much have the same opinion. It's a massive overpay at $40 million. Yes, they're moving him to second base until they free up the DH spot. What is their Japanese import was Yoshida? Was that his name? Their outfielder DH guy. They're looking to move him because the Red Sox are not spending money still. I mean, yes, they just paid Bregman $40 million with a lot of it deferred. But Bregman's going to play second. Story's at short, and Devers is at third, and Casas, right? Casas is their first baseman. So they have a good infield. They are counting very heavily on an injury-prone veteran rotation. And they are counting heavily on some of their minor leaguers to fill in on the bullpen because they don't really have much of a bullpen over there either. So, the Red Sox are spending money on Bregman, who I don't think will ever opt out, even though there's opt outs, because quite
At 40
frankly,
million? Are
40
you
million,
kidding?
where's he going to get $40 million?
I mean, does he honestly think he didn't get it this time? He's not going to, maybe he'll have a big year, maybe. But does he, he's going to have a very nice time playing there. He's going to do well. But God forbid he doesn't. First of all, guys like that, you got sort of the Pedroia. He's a littler guy. He's going to be a fan favorite. They're going to love him, and he's going to do well. He'll hit
Hey,
30
it's
home
Boston.
runs
It's
there.
Boston. He's a white guy. They'll like him. Unless, of course, maybe he's Jewish.
they,
Who knows?
they sure will. But the thing
But
about them is their that team is interesting. Like they haven't spent very much money in a while. They've got a really good farm system, it seems, but they really drive their fan base crazy. I mean, again, it's boom or bust, and then blow it up. Boom, bust, blow it up. I mean, I just don't get how you can keep a fan base that's that loyal happy. I've got a really good friend. My friend who's might be listening in. Our friend Adam Shapiro, very good guy, a big Red Sox fan.
you have a friend?
I have a friend. You do that. And the last time I said that, you said exactly the same thing. Is there a script in your brain that just goes off? It's exactly what you said the last time I thought about my friend Adam Shapiro. But I think the problem
It's
with
like when
I
you
think
say,
the
"I can't hear you." I say, "What?" And you say, "I can't hear you." I say, "What?" It's on autopilot.
what
Yes,
it
exactly.
really is sad. But the thing about it really is that they seem to have this sense that listen, if things aren't going well, all right, we'll finish last. Okay, fan base will love us anyway. We'll sell out our 12,000 seats or whatever we have in this ballpark, and we'll be very, very
33,000. Their rotation is interesting. I mean, their rotation obviously has Crochet at the top, then Tanner Houck and Bello and Bueller and Giolito, and then
yeah.
Crawford is their sixth starter. So they've got some injury problems at the back end with Bueller and Giolito. Giolito has more of a reputation
Bueller,
for
Bueller.
not pitching except in a Concertina than even Rodon. And then Bueller, he's had 9 absences this semester, so he's in danger of failing. Oh wait, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Oh, only 3 absences. Anyhow, he's really sick and he's in bed. So, but yeah, I mean, the Red Sox are a better team with clearly a
Boy,
better team with Bregman. Don't
you
get me
really went
wrong.
off there.
They're really a better team with Bregman, but in reality, they still have a lot that they need to do. And Devers is a stud. I'm sure he's happy that he's got some protection in there, and they've got a first baseman who's a monster. But their outfield is, what it is. Go from there.
I don't know. I mean, I think he's an okay little player, but for $40 million, a lot of money for a
A lot.
4 WAR player.
It's a lot
A
of
lot
money.
of money.
It's a lot of money. I
But
mean,
then
it's not a
again,
lot
let's
of
talk
money to
about it.
you. It's not a lot of money to you,
But
but to the regular people in the world, it is. I mean, they've got
but then
an
let's talk
outfield,
about this a little bit.
a Cedeno
The
Raffaello, Weiler Abreu, and Jaron Duran are their 3 outfielders. So
I like Duran a lot. I actually really like
I do
that
too.
kid. I think he's
I do
interesting.
too. But
But but I'm looking at this guy. Played only 140 played 145 games last year.
well, he
He's
had
had
a
a couple of
horrible
injury
start.
seasons. Yeah,
He had a horrible start last year,
yeah.
and he had a good second half.
Does he steal
And he's a
bases
winner.
anymore?
No.
Well, yeah, that is true.
So,
So did he
the
steal
other
bases?
signing.
He
Go ahead. Finish with Bregman, and I'll
no, he
get to
doesn't
the
steal
others.
bases anymore. 3 stolen
No.
bases last year.
No.
Doesn't have any speed. Listen, it doesn't strike out that much. 86 times. The Yankees could use somebody like that, but the
He's a
Yankees weren't going to
good.
pay it because
He's a high IQ player as well, which is good.
yeah. But a lot of singles. Not a lot of surprisingly, not as
No,
many
not a lot of Crawford
extra
box for
base
him
hits. You
last year.
think?
No, I mean he's
He had
got 21.
26.
Frankie the Yankee sent us his stats at Fenway, and they're outstanding, but they're only 21 games. Everything reverts back to the mean somewhat. It's not going to hit
Yeah.
375 this year. I can pretty much tell you that. So the other signing that I thought was interesting was the Padres signing Pivetta, gave him $3 million
Hmm.
signing bonus and a $1 million salary this year, with I think 19 next year, then 14, and then 18 in the years that follow. Very creative. But I was looking at
Hmm.
stats, and obviously he came off the Red Sox this year. He was in the Red Sox last year. I find his stats, they don't have as much of a drop off year over year as Stroman had last year to 23. But I'd rather have Stroman as my 4-5 starter than Nick Pivetta. I
All right.
just,
Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit.
especially the 4 years, 4 years of
Mhm.
Pivetta, even though it's 4 years, $55 million. It's a wonky contract because it's really only $4 million this year. So who knows what's going to happen there? But it's a lot of money. It's going to be paid more than 40 when this contract's done. I
And
thought the Padres.
and let's talk
Now the
about
Padres
this.
are looking to trade.
It's also
They're looking to trade Cease or King. So I don't. The Padres ownership is a cluster of fun, as they say. The kids these days, they're having some ownership issues. The new owners are challenged financially, I guess. So, anything else that's going on in baseball you want to talk about? That was
well.
interesting.
I'd like to say why the Yankees can't do deals like this anymore. Why can't the Yankees ever do a short-term deal on $40 million? Why can't the Yankees spend $40 million for a player that they need this year, and then let him go next year? Why not?
I
Why
will.
not?
I will say
They could if they. Do you think the Yankees could have used Beck? See, Bregman wouldn't profile well at Yankee Stadium. He's not the guy they need. But I think that a guy like that would have been interesting. And why can't the Yankees ever do that? Pick up these guys on crappy contracts, short-term deals, pay them a lot of money, and then get rid of them. Instead, the Yankees have to go 8 and 9 years with everybody because they can never. They always need to spread out the money, so to speak, instead of paying for it up front. Why is that, in your opinion?
Well, I would argue that the
I
fact that
already
they
have an
did
answer.
not, the fact that they did not when Cole opted out and they didn't extend him, they in essence now have Cole on a 4-year contract. So
Hmm.
in essence, Cole becomes the 4-year guy for them. But yeah, Fried got a longer contract than they thought. Rizzone's got a longer contract than they thought. Obviously, Judge got 9 years. That was a lot of years. I mean,
But those
LeMahieu's
are deals that
contract
you
that
want
they.
to make long term. I mean, you want Judge on a long deal. You wanted him. That's
Well,
not the point.
he's gonna be
I
pretty
like those
freaking old
guys.
at the end. I
Yeah,
mean,
he will be.
and LeMahieu, they cut LeMahieu's dollars per year down and gave him, an extra year or two on his deal because he wanted a lot of money, but the Yankees said, "We'll only give it to you if we can give you the 6-year deal that you wanted. That we'll give you the 90 million, but we only want to give it to you over 6 years, not over 3 or 4, which is what he originally
Hmm.
wanted." So the LeMahieu deal is longer, but it's cheaper. So, but the
Yeah.
Yankees have shown no creativity. My biggest thing is the Yankees show no creativity on the contract front. They don't do deferments. Obviously, the Dodgers are kings at deferments. The Red Sox did deferments. The Mets did deferments with their players this year. And they don't do anything creative, sort of like what the Cardinals did with Arenado, what the Padres are doing with Pivetta, even what the Marlins did with Stanton. Like Arenado's contract is only $15 million a year. Not this year. This year it's 21, which is still down, and then 15 and 15.
Hmm.
And then Stan's contract goes backwards as well, and that's the Marlins doing. And the Yankees don't have any of that creativity in any of the contracts that they do, where contract dollars move up and down in a manner that helps them with everything. And by the way, they did sign Goldschmidt for 1 year as far as a short-term stopgap player.
That was good. That was a good deal.
Yeah, that's
I give
fine.
them that. But
And
they've got at this point they've got 15, they've got 12, they've got $15 million in dead retained payroll. With
right,
Hicks, Rizzo, and Cortez,
two for
and then
Nesta.
they don't factor in some of the other dead deals they've got. Because I personally think that DJ
They don't have any
LeMahieu
more dead
is,
money. They don't have any more dead
but
money,
LeMahieu's
except for
dead
that.
money. That's 15 million.
Well, yeah, but LeMahieu's dead money, but he's dead money, but he's on the roster. Dead money is guys you're paying to play for somebody else or not play at all.
But then there are guys you wish would play for somebody else.
Well, yeah,
LeMahieu's one
every
of those
team's
guys.
got several of those.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
but
several
I do
guys like
think
that on
that
every team.
yeah. But
Is
I just
did
think the
did
Yankees
they end
can't
up
do this.
did they end up signing Leiter yet, or is he still in arbitration? That's a guy I'm interested
Let's
in.
see what Leiter's got going right
It says
now.
2.05
Leiter,
million in Sport Track, but
yeah.
he's arbitration eligible.
So it doesn't show that whether that deal was done. Let me see
He
what they
settled. Yeah,
say
he
about.
settled this year at 2.05. He settled.
So all that was made, all that stuff. And what did he? What did the Yankees offer?
I don't remember, but it was, I think they settled in the middle. But when we get to the bullpen, we'll talk about him. He's an interesting piece. So
Yeah.
why don't we get started? Clearly, we know who the Yankees' top 5 starters are, right? Cole, Fried, Rodon, Heel, and Schmidt.
Mm-hmm.
That's their 5, right? So if we go through those 5 guys, and you look at them in the course of what's going on in Major League Baseball, really, there's only 1 or 2 teams that you could say definitely have better starting rotation than the Yankees, right? The Mariners, the Dodgers, because they've got 19 guys. And then you've got a bunch of teams that have good top ends, like the Phillies with Nola and Wheeler. And then you got a team like the Braves, who have Sale, Ronaldo Lopez, Spencer Schwellenbach, who had a great first-year season, and then Strider coming back in May. But the Dodgers have so many guys. I mean, they got Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Sasaki, Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, and then Ohtani and Kershaw coming later in the season. That's pretty impressive. But, they do have one of the top rotations. But the question with the Yankees is going to be, all right, what's going on? Cole obviously had arm issues last year, right? Is he going to be affected by the fact that the Yankees were ready to let him walk when he opted out? He doesn't seem like that type of guy to me. He seems like more of a bulldog type of guy where he'll basically flip off the Yankees and say, all right, you be this way. I'll just pitch like this and see what happens. But even though we only had 17 starts last year in 95 innings, his finish to the season last year was fantastic. His playoff performance was good. His last 7 starts, he struck out 39 batters, walked 13, pitched to a 2.5 ERA. His last 15 starts, which is most of the season because his first 2 starts were terrible and he had 17 starts, he pitched to a 2.9 ERA. So he had a fantastic season once he got settled in, but his innings pitched per start was significantly lower. But that's not the worst thing considering that he was coming off the injury that he was coming off of and missed about 15 starts for the season. But we'll get a better idea. And as Dr. Osti has told us, we'll get a better idea of what his situation is arm-wise as they ramp him up in spring training. Do you think Cole's got to be the top guy and he's going to have to start 30 games?
I think they're going to get 30 out of him. I don't think, unless there's an injury that's left over from the past. I think he's going to be amazing. I'm not worried at all about. I think this is his last year. That's why I'm so glad they went out and did the Max Fried thing. I think if Fried can, of course, Fried has his own health issues, but I think the Yankees are going to be very, very pleased to have Cole for this year. Next year, and then you'll start seeing the inevitable drop off. But I'm really happy about it, and I don't think he's going to have any impact. I think he knows he's very smart. He's not your normal dumbass ball player. Doesn't know what he's doing. This guy's got it. He's not Stroman who doesn't show up to opening. He's not Stroman who doesn't show up to pitchers and catchers
later. He's not required to be there till the 22nd. So.
Come on, show up when you're supposed to show up, especially since you're showcasing for a new job. You should be happy.
There's no games. There's no games to showcase him between now and then. He's
but get there early.
Show up.
I totally disagree with you on this, but we'll get there.
Rodon. So let's talk about Rodon, right? So he pitched. He had 32 starts last year. He didn't miss a start.
Healthy. He was healthy. That's it.
Yeah.
Healthy. Get 32 starts again. See if he can actually, Yeah, I like more control. I like to see that strikeout pitch. I'd like to see him a little bit more dominant instead of the too many games where he didn't look good. Again, great games, then bad games. Seems to have head problems sometimes. I mean, he really
Well,
does.
his ERA
But I'd love to
his
see it.
ERA was almost 4. I mean, his ERA, he got 32 starts and only 175 innings.
He should
So
do better than
his
4. He should be in the three
he's got to be
in
better.
the 3.5.
But he did strike out 195 guys, and he only walked 57, which is not good, but it's not awful. Um,
Mhm.
the biggest problem I have with him is every time he ramps up his innings, he gets hurt, right? In 22, he pitched 178 innings for the Giants, signed with the Yankees, and got hurt. So 24, he pitched 175 innings with the Yankees. Let's see what happens. And even in 21, when he was with the White Sox, he was hurt, but then he came back and was out of control good, pitched 130 innings only in a contract year. Again, with the Giants, 178 in contract year. The only other times, he pitched 165 innings in 2016 and then got hurt. Pitched 120 innings in 2018 and then got hurt in 19. 20 doesn't count because it was the strike year, although he only pitched 7 innings in the strike year. So he seems to be up and down with this injury thing. So it's got me a little bit nervous. His hits per 9 is also way up, but his strikeouts were up. Strikeouts per 9 was up. And in reality, his playoff performance, he's throwing too many pitches. Well, I'll say the same thing I'm going to say about Schmidt. He's a 5 inning pitcher and he's throwing 100 pitches. That's just not, I know that's what major league pitchers are, but a lot of these guys that are throwing 100 pitches are throwing more strikes and not getting to 3 ball counts and 2 ball counts with every single batter. And it kills me. He threw more
Yeah.
pitches last season than he did in his entire career. And that's not even counting the 24 postseason where he threw even more pitches. So, of all the guys that are injury prone on the team, I think he's the highest risk for injury of all the guys.
Yeah, well, you lived through it in San Francisco, so maybe
Right. But his
maybe you're
last
right.
7 starts, of the regular season, while I say that he pitched a lot of innings, his last 7 starts during the regular season were pretty much his 7 best, where he pitched 40 innings, struck out 47 guys, struck out only 13. His whip was at 1.14. So, there's counter arguments to what I'm saying, but I
mean, he didn't do his postseason sucked. He was a
his
5.6. He
postseason
had
was
one
not
good
good.
game. You
It wasn't
know,
good. What's
he's
funny is
not a good career, terrible career postseason pitcher.
he didn't walk
Hasn't done
anybody in the
very much.
postseason. That's what's funny to me.
Yeah,
He
but
didn't
we'll
walk anybody
see.
in the postseason. According to Baseball Reference, he pitched 17 innings, struck out 25 guys, and only walked 1,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. Problem is he allowed 21 hits and 5 home runs.
So with 21 hits, what was his whip?
His whip was 1.25, but he allowed 5 home runs in 17 innings. That's not good. So, and he's a left-handed pitcher pitching in the Yankee Stadium, allowing all those home runs. But, I still think he's the biggest injuries risk. He's the most up and down, which is why I think he's the number 3 starter, not the number 2 starter in this team, which brings us to our friend, the guy they gave 8 years to, Max Fried. So if you look at Fried's career, right, he has pitched 165 innings in every full season he's pitched, except for 23, where he had a little bit of an arm issue.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been pretty solid and very consistent. A little bit higher ERA last year than previous years, but from a standpoint of, is he going to throw 165, 170 innings and give you 25 to 30 starts? Yep, that's him. He's going to do that. I don't think his arm injury is something that they have to worry about as far as his workload. He had a typical season. His whip was slightly up. And he finished the season stronger than he started the season as well. So
I'll take 1.16. That's his career number.
Yeah,
that's not a bad whip.
No.
Home runs. How many home runs did he give up last year? Gave up 13. A little
You
bit
look.
more than
I
11.
haven't given up 7. What are you looking at?
I
Last year,
got 24, 13 home runs given up.
I'm looking at it says 7. Does that include post? Oh, that's hit by pitch. I'm looking in the wrong column. Sorry, you're right. 13. HB, HR. I got to get my glasses checked, I guess.
Old age sucks. All right, so
Well,
he
he
had a
gets
good
used
year.
aluminum bat. So he had a typical year, a little bit up on the hits. That's
174 innings. We'll take it.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
let's just
that's.
see. His best year is 17 wins and 19. Ridiculous. High
I
whip
would
though. That
argue. I would actually argue his better year was 22, where he
yeah,
threw 185 innings, had 30 starts, and he had a whip of
absolutely. Wow,
101. That was his
wow.
best year. Was 22. Of course, then he
And
got
is that
hurt in
when he
23.
got hurt the next year?
Yeah,
So
but
was he
22
healthy
was his
last
best
year?
year.
What was broken on him last year?
Nothing
Did
was
he miss
broken
any?
last year. He had 29 starts. He missed like 1 or 2 starts for whatever reason. Nothing major.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he is what he is. He's a good pitcher. Hopefully he's Jimmy Key for the Yankees. Even if he has a
That
low
would be
3
nice.
ERA and not a 2.5 ERA, that'd be perfect.
Mm.
Number of years. Okay, they gave him a lot of years. I'm not going to worry about that for the time being. Again, no creativity in his contract, but that's just the Yankee way these days.
Mm.
There's no creativity in his contract.
We're in 54. Okay, that's it. It's Goose Gossage number.
Yeah, I'm sure Gossage is not a happy camper. I would say this: there's a little bit of creativity in his contracts because it blows up, as opposed to making it lower. It's actually a lower contract dollar amount annually this year than it will be in later years. But for luxury tax purposes, it's flat across the entire length of the contract, which is 27.25, because of the
Yeah.
way the signing bonus was done. But you know, because really with the Yankees, the only thing you need to look at is the luxury tax number. But
That's right. And what's with the mustache? Another mustache. What's with these guys with the mustaches?
what's the difference? Do you see Soto this week said one of the reasons he signed with the Mets is he wanted to grow a beard?
Good for him.
What's
Have
funny
fun.
is I don't know that he can physically grow a beard.
Well, he's
Never
only
had.
what?
He's never
I
had
think
one.
that's wonderful. Wonderful. Have a great time, buddy.
Anyhow,
Enjoy right field.
all
It's
right.
gonna
So
love it out there.
next up is Luis Gil, obviously Rookie of the Year. Now, unlike the other Yankee pitchers, his finish to the season was not nearly as good as his start to the season.
Mm-hmm.
This was his first full season in the majors. He threw 151 innings after never throwing more than 96 in any season, including his minor league career. He threw 96 in 2019. He was not good his last 7 starts. He was not very good his last 15 starts. He threw 1,000 more pitches in 24 than he threw in any other season in his career. And they kept him on such a short leash in the playoffs, which was probably appropriate considering how poorly he had been pitching. And in 8 innings in his 2 starts, he had 4 strikeouts and 5 walks, which is not good. His strike percentage, even when he was all season, was 60%. And the strikeout rate of 10.15 for 9 innings was the lowest of his career.
Mm.
So, the guy threw 150 innings after throwing basically none, right? In
Yeah.
23.
Can I ask you a question about him? Did you think he really had? Do you think he deserved the Rookie of the Year? It seemed interesting. He was so good at the beginning, locking. They were talking about MVP, Cy Young for him. He was so good at the beginning of the year. He was the best pitcher in the league for the first 6 weeks of the season,
Which
first
is what they
8 weeks of
needed
the season.
with Cole out.
That's right. But then afterwards, I never felt that he had a terrible middle of the season, and then he seemed to come back at the end. But I
No,
was
he was
really
bad at the end. He
surprised.
was bad at the end.
I was really surprised that he won. I am between you and me. I'm thrilled that he won. It's great. It
I
was a
would have
great
chosen
season. But
him over Wells, and the guy from the Orioles. I don't think it was the strongest of classes, to be honest with you.
yeah,
So, but his last few starts were not particularly good. His whip was up. Opponent's batting average was down, but his walks were way up toward the end
yeah.
of the season. So, it is what it is with him. But, pitching as many innings as he did after not throwing more than 96 in any year, and that was in 2019, that gets worrisome. But they didn't, I will give the Yankees credit, they did not put him on an innings limit last year. The Yankees
Yeah.
are one of the several teams that went into the science and said they look at things other than purely innings to decide whether or not a player needs to be shut down. And it had to do with velocity and mechanics more so than anything else, although with his control getting worse over the course of the season, I'm curious as to whether or not his mechanics were actually tight enough. So he's an injury risk, not as much as Rodon, I don't think, but it's kind of scary. He does have a minor league option left if something really wacky happens and they need to send him down. He's got an option left. And then the fifth starter is another guy who was hurt last year, Schmidt, who was unbelievable before he got hurt. I mean, unfreaking believable before he got hurt. Yes, he's a 5-inning guy, and yes, like Rodon, he's throwing 100 pitches in 5 innings, which drives me bananas. Drives me freaking bananas. Which pushes his whip. His whip is up because his walks are up. He threw 90 innings in 2022 and then threw 85 innings last year. And in 2023, he was, what is this? 2023, he threw 159 innings. In 2024, he threw 85 innings. So he's all over the place innings wise. The fact that he was out so long with an arm issue was a little concerning, right? He had 32 starts in 23, but only 14, 16 last year that ended. He was out from May 26th till September 7th.
Wow.
He was out 4 months with his arm issue. And he's always at or near 100 pitches every start, but he only throws 5 innings. His K rate was up in 24, so that's a good sign. But, he's the number 5 starter on this team, and he's an outstanding number 5 starter. But he got to stay healthy. Yankees can't afford to have Cole miss 14 starts. They can't afford to have Schmidt miss 4 months. They don't have what we're going to talk about next is the depth. And like I said,
can I ask you a question though? Why? You ever find it interesting? How long was he on the disabled? He missed what, 2-3 months of the season?
4 months. He was out from May 7th.
I mean, it's just ungodly. How in the
May
world?
26th to September 7th. So almost 3.5 months.
I mean,
which is a big injury for a guy, and he didn't have surgery. Maybe he's Tanaka-esque. Tanaka never had his, he had an injury for his arm, never had Tommy John surgery, and came back and pitched pretty well for a few years after not having his Tommy John surgery. So maybe that'll work for him. But other than the Mariners and the Dodgers, I don't really think anybody stands well above or above at all with the Yankees. I think that the Toronto with Berrios, Gossman, Bassett, Scherzer, and Bob Francis as their 5 starters have a pretty good rotation. That's in their division. I don't think the Orioles' rotation is anything to brag about. The Red Sox rotation's okay. And the Rays rotation, it really doesn't matter because they throw guys 3 innings as their starters. And, while the Rays have good pitching, their starting rotation is never what does it for them. So. Yeah. So now you get to the depth, and now we can talk about your friend and mine, number 0, Marcus.
Yeah, well, that's I just listen. I've said it 1,000 times, and I've given different dates apparently every time, but there's no question in my mind that he's gone. And today, I'm willing to bet my next commission that the Yankees will trade him.
So you're not doing any sales? Is that what you're saying?
Things are bad. Business is bad. I'm so certain that this is going because he's that he wouldn't do this. The Yankees, first of all, this is exactly what the Yankees hate. This kind of bullshit when he showcases when they sort of showboating something here. This is his way of saying fuck you. Sorry. Oops. Family run.
Beep. The 7-second delay was late.
This is his way of flipping the Yankees off, and they don't like that. and they're going to do everything they can. My problem with it is now they'll do it, and they might not get such a great deal. But I'm sure they're waiting for that first injured pitcher on the probably somebody like the Tigers. The Somebody's going to get hurt in Texas, and he's suddenly going to get there's going to be interest, and the Yankees will get something. They'll get like a lousy low level minor leaguer with some money, and they'll get it. But my only fear is, God forbid, one of these guys gets hurt, and
One of the Yankee guys gets hurt.
Yankee guys, and then suddenly he's in the picture. I just don't want him around. $16 million for this guy is a lot of money. They don't need to pay it. Or 18? Is it 18 million? 18 million for a sixth starter? Not necessary. And then I thought the game that he played by not showing up. Of course, he has the right not to show up, but all the other guys have the same right. Why are they there? Why is Fried there? He's a new guy. Why is their best starter, who probably has the most, authority to do what he wants, Cole? He shows up on time. What's that about?
It's not on time. It's not on time. Like I said, he doesn't have to be there till February 22nd.
By contract, but that's not what it's about. They're all there already. Why is he not there yet?
He took his physical and left. I actually, if I was, put it this way, if I was getting screwed by the team, or I felt like I was getting screwed, which I do believe that's how Mr. Stroman feels.
Yeah.
Right. Why should I do anything more than I absolutely positively have to? By the way, he makes 18 million this year, not 16. 18 million this year, and then he's got
a lot of money.
140 inning vesting situation.
Doesn't make me feel better. That's more money, and I would say get rid of it, move him on, forget it.
Well, they've been trying to do that, and they can't. It doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense. They've been trying, and there's no takers. I mean, like I said, I've been listening to lots of MLB radio, and to listen to Ryan Spielborgs or Spolborgs, whatever his name is, to keep over and over saying Arenado has to come to the Yankees. It's a perfect fit, and they could just trade Stroman for him, even up, and it's good for both teams. I'm thinking to myself, well, first of all, both teams are looking to cut salary. So trading for two players who make about the same amount of money doesn't cut salary. In fact, Stroman makes more than Arenado. Well, not this year. Stroman makes 18 and Arenado makes 21 this year, 15 next year, the year after for Arenado. And Arenado in New York, other than his defense, is not a good fit. And running up Goldschmidt and Arenado, how did that work for St. Louis last year? It didn't. And Stroman, if they're trying to cut back salary, I mean, they're looking at getting rid of, isn't Sonny Gray their number one starter now? They're looking to cut back salary. And said, well, why would they take on potentially $36 million on Stroman? Because if you look at Stroman's stats, he throws 140 innings every season. He does not throw it. He threw 136, I guess, and 38 with the Cubs. But you know what? He could have thrown 140 with them. He threw 154 with the Yankees, 179 with the Mets, 184 with the Mets. He's going to vest. I mean, I don't see how he's not going to vest. And if you look at his stats, right? Yes, they were slightly down from 23 to 24, but they weren't outrageously down from 23 to 24. His ground ball to fly ball rate was down, and that's not good for a righty pitcher in Yankee Stadium, and that's something to be concerned about. But you know what? His ERA was up from 3.9 to 4.3. His batting average against was up from 231 to 277. So did he pitch in bad luck? You know, that's above the major league average of batting average for balls in play. He's batting average for balls in play with Stroman in 24 was actually 312, which is significantly higher than the major league average. Yeah. People slugged higher against him. He allowed more home runs, almost a half a home run more per nine. His hits were up 2 hits per 9 innings. His strikeouts were down slightly. His stats are what his stats are. He's a number 4, number 5 starter. Yes, 18 million or 18.5 in that neighborhood is a little much for it. But you know what? He's the only depth they have that has major league experience that wasn't totally pathetic last year. But you know what? They're going to have to eat 8 to 10 million. What are you doing, big guy?
Sorry, I
They're
got.
going to have to eat $8 to $10 million and trade him away just to get their salaries down where they want them to be. But he's their only major league depth that they have. The other depth that they have, we could talk about Will Warren. He was horrendous in his opportunity in 2024, even though we had high hopes. And then I looked at his AAA stats. They weren't that fantastic either. In AAA last year, he threw 109 innings and had an ERA over 5. His K percentage, meaning the number of strikes he throws, was only 62%. His strikeouts per 9 was very high, but it was low compared to what it was in previous seasons. His strikeouts per 9 was 11.16 in 24, and it was 14 in 23. So, he's nothing special in the minors. And, I had high hopes for him, but I was wrong. And I don't think we should have high hopes for him this year either. And guess what? He has 2 options. What do you think of Warren as a potential 6th starter, 7th starter?
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of these guys have to show a lot more down in the minors. I mean, that last year was a terrible year. Their minor league system really suffered. Uh, their perception in the league, they're bottom of the barrel right now. They've got very little talent at the upper level that anybody's really loving. They've got some young guys down low that they seem to like. They seem to like this guy Guy Lombardo.
Well, he's an infielder though. He's not a pitcher.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that they seem to have.
And Arias as well.
I'm saying globally, their farm system is in serious.
It stinks.
So they really, but then again, it could also be a good. It could be a good year. There were a lot of injuries and a lot of regression last year. So the hope is that they'll look better. But I think Warren falls into that category. A guy who had a lot of expectations coming out of last year, coming out of last year's off season, because they thought they liked him. Some people liked him more than the guy they lost to.
The guy that ended up getting traded for Dylan Cease.
Yeah. I mean, everyone seemed to like him a lot, but they liked Warren. I think the Yankees said, you know what? We got the better deal here. We got the guy we like who stayed. Problem is,
he was just really mediocre. He was just me. I'm very disappointed in myself for thinking so highly of him based on his minor league stats. Then the other guy that they're talking about is who I think is more of a bullpen piece because of the way he pitches. If he ever pitches, is Clayton Beater. I mean, he's got
another injury. He's hurt again, right? Isn't he hurt?
No, he's not hurt yet.
They said that he's coming off of an injury. Seems okay. I mean,
he had 39 innings.
Crazy.
He had 39 innings between the majors and the minors last year, which was really only a couple innings in the majors. 39 innings, 56 strikeouts, 21 walks. That's horrendous. He has a monster arm and monster injury history. Yeah. But, if he ever doesn't have an injury history, which is why I think he's better off going to the bullpen. Let him go into the bullpen. Then the guy that, we both were like, why'd they sign this guy? And then you look at his stats, and you're like, oh, JT Brubaker, right? He has no options. So he's on the team this year, no matter what happens, assuming he's not injured. But he threw 124 innings in 21, 144 innings in 22, and then nothing for all of 23, and only 16 innings in 24 in the minors. Yeah. And in his 16 innings, he only struck out 9 guys and walked 8, which is not good. But he only allowed 8 hits. So he's got swinging stuff, but he's also 31. He's not young. So he's going to be on the team. So he looks like he's going to be the swing man and the pitching depth for sure for the starters. Could he be good? Like, if you look at the videos, he has great stuff. He was on the Pirates. He was on the Pirates with Cole way back when. So maybe the Yankees can, do with him what they did with Holmes and make him a better pitcher. Mm-hmm. But hopefully he doesn't. He's still such an injury risk. Another guy with no options, and we saw him a little bit last year, is Yoendrys Gomez. He actually did okay with the Yankees. He only threw 83 innings in 23 appearances, 21 of which was starts. Mm-hmm. He generally is a 4 or 5 inning pitcher. In 24, between the majors and the minors, he had 93 strikeouts. So that's, he's a strikeout guy, but he also walks a lot of guys, 39. So if his walks per 9 is 4 and his strikeouts per 9 is 10, that's a 2.5 to 1 ratio. But that's a scary proposition. and he has no options. So he's definitely on the team. He's on the team, or he's going to be traded or DFA'd.
Yeah. But, some of these guys have to go.
Yeah, they have to. You have to either go or get off the pot. Of course, then there's Carlos Carrasco, non-roster
Oh,
invitee.
does that have any chance of making it?
If he pitches for the team this year, they are in a boatload of trouble. I mean, he was so awful last year. I mean, I can't even describe how awful he was.
Mm-hmm.
He was just god awful. He had over a 5 ERA, didn't make it through the season. He's got injury history. He's got so many problems. I don't want to see him on the team this year. If he's on the team, they've got a lot of problems. Then
I
there's
don't
there's a
disagree.
couple of guys who are not on the 40-man roster. You got Chase Hampton, another minor leaguer, pitched 40 innings. Pitched not on the 40-man, pitched 125 innings at Double A last year. Struck out a lot of guys, had a low WHIP, 27 starts. Cade Smith, not the one from the Guardians. He's 23. Chase Hampton's 24. Zach Messenger is 26 in October, so he's 25 now. He played at Double A last year. He's not a big strikeout guy, and he's a right-handed pitcher. He's not on the 40-man. They have this guy Tristan Vierling, another Double A right-hander. He's 24. He's okay, but there's nothing to write home about. There's this guy Cam Schlittler, if I'm pronouncing it correctly and don't get bleeped out. He seems to be pitched at 3 levels last year, all the way up to Double A. Triple A in one season. Averaged 11 and a half strikeouts per 9. Again, another walk guy, 4 walks per 9. But his ground ball rate's 51%, and in 120 innings, only allowed 98 hits. This guy's got potential, 24-year-old. They got Ben Shields, not Panty Shields. He's 26 in January. He also pitched at 3 levels for the Yankees last year. 17 starts. He's got a good strikeout to walk ratio, 11 strikeouts to 2.8 walks. He's a potential guy that's not on the 40-man that maybe they'll make room for. And then their lefty prospect is a guy named Brock Selvidge. He'll turn 23 in August, and he had 16 starts at Double A last year. So there's not much as far as major league depth there. They're top 5 starters or top 3 or 4 starting rotations in all of baseball, but there's a lot of injury risk. I mean, there's not much depth there. And then of course Kramer likes our friend Brent Hedrick, who they just signed. He's 27, and he was a starter in the minors, and he's a left-hander. So there's not really a lot of starting depth there for the Yankees. There's good top of the rotation, and if the 5 guys stay healthy, they're going to be great. But when's the last time any team in baseball used 5 starters for an entire season without somebody going on the IL? Right? It just doesn't happen. You got anything you want to add on the starters?
Well, I'm not worried so much about their starters. I just think there's always somebody that's going to step up from the minors. I just see one of these guys. I know it sounds wishful thinking.
Heel was the guy last year. Heel stepped up last year.
They find a way. But my bigger concern is they won't find somebody, and then they'll be forced to have they'll go to the trade. I don't want them to go to the trade market. I don't want them to need a pitcher in at the deadline. I want them to use whatever assets they have. God forbid, whatever assets they have, whatever they may be. I want to get them. I want a hitter. I want to get Tucker. I'd like to see somebody of that ilk join them when they need somebody to come in late in the season. But I'm hoping that they're going to be hoping. It's useless, but it would be nice to see them get a full load of 5. If they're really concerned, they're going to keep Stroman, and I'm going to lose my commission. That's it. It's all going to be about that. So let's hope they're healthy, and then see what happens with some of these other guys that come in. I think there will be an emergence of a good 5th starter in case of an injury. Somebody from the minors that'll come up, and I could see it being somebody like it could be it could be Warren, maybe Will Warren.
I think it's more likely to be Brubaker than anybody.
It could be Brubaker, and they're keeping him for a reason. They like this guy's
arm. Well, they have no choice. I mean, he's 31
Yeah,
years
well,
old. It's not like he's
that's
young.
it.
So,
So, and as far as the bullpen's concerned, what do you think about the bullpen?
well, in my feeble opinion, right, the bullpen has two high leverage guys that they can count on. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
Devin Williams, and granted he had a back injury last year, so I was looking at the number of innings that he pitched. Right, he only threw 21 innings last year, threw 58 and 23, 60 and 22, which was his career high, and 54 in 21. So I decided to look at what the Yankees did with Clay Holmes as their closer. Clay Holmes threw 63 innings in each of the three seasons, 22, 23, and 24, which is more than any career number that Devin Williams has ever thrown. I find that relatively interesting, that the Yankee closers have thrown more innings than Devin Williams. Now, granted, he wasn't even a closer, right? In 22, wasn't that Josh
Mm-hmm.
Hader? So,
Yeah.
and he threw 60 innings, and that was his career high. Then he threw 58, and then he had a back issue. So we'll see if that goes. And he had an awful playoffs because he was tipping his pitches against the Mets. So hopefully they can fix that. But the Yankees have a way of fixing relievers, and
But
he's a high
that's
end.
been my
He's
point.
he's a
That
top five closer, if not a top three closer in baseball, right? Behind Class A, and then there's him. Maybe Hader is behind him even. So I mean, he's a top of the line closer. You can't really, you have to count on him and hope he doesn't get injured, and hopefully he can handle a workload. The other guy is Weaver. Now,
Mhm.
granted, he had a career year. Also, not a young guy. He's going to be 31 in August. But his years as a bullpen pitcher were his best years, right?
Mhm.
In 22, he was with Arizona and Kansas City, and he only threw 35 innings in the majors. But that was his best year before last year, and he threw 84 innings last year. I would see his innings going down this year, actually, because he started out as a sixth, seventh inning guy for the Yankees last year, and he was pitching 2 innings and a pop. I think he's going to be more a eighth inning guy for the Yankees, and maybe a little bit into the seventh if they need him to pitch more than an inning. So I think his innings are actually going to drop this year. But he had the highest K rate of his career, at 1104. Um, he had a drop in his walk rate to a career low, near career low. Um, so I think Weaver is, as much as I'm scared he might have been a one year wonder, I actually have more confidence in looking at his career as I did over the last couple of days than I did, and I'd been saying over the last few shows we've had. I think they can count on Weaver to be a very good setup man. Um, Not a problem whatsoever. And those are the two guys I think they can count on.
Yeah.
And now,
What
what are the
about
other guys that
Diaz?
are high leverage guys? Well, one of them has an option and is already hurt during his physical, and that's Jake Cousins. He's also not young. He's 31 in July, but he does have an option. So if they need to bury him, they can. He's never pitched more than 38 innings in this season. And his strikeout rate was outrageous last year at 12 and a half. But that's still way below his minor league number, which was at 14, which is unbelievable that he had, a 12 and a half strikeout per nine rate. His walk rate jumped massively, though, to 5.66 per nine innings. That's way too high. Sorry, that's his major league career average is 5.66, 4.74 walk rate per nine in 24. And his home run rate jumped in 24 also, which means when they hit his pitching as a right-handed reliever in Yankee Stadium who comes from the Jeff Nelson angle, he's going to be a guy that's going to allow home runs at Yankee Stadium. But he's hurt. What a surprise.
What a surprise!
And then
And
the other
again, how
guy,
do these guys get hurt in advance what are they doing, and why do we not know about it a month ago? Why do
well,
we
you
hear
could be
about
like
it when
Scott
they come in?
Efros and have surgery in December and not tell anybody.
They
And
do
then, of
this all
course,
the
you have,
time. I'd love to ask Joe Ostie what he thinks about the Yankees' tendency not to tell us about these injured guys who come in broken. Like, what are they? What, they have 6 months to get in shape. What the hell is wrong with these guys
well,
if they're not healthy after 6 months?
and then you got Mr. Injury himself, who's got wow stuff and a crazy injury history with
Who
no
is it?
options, so he'll be on the team. Jonathan Loizaga.
Johnny Lasagna. Johnny Lasagna.
So
Gotta love
Johnny
him.
Lasagna in 21 through 70 innings. In
Mm-hmm.
22, 48 because he got hurt.
Wow.
23, 17 innings because he got hurt. 24, 4 innings because he got hurt.
Wow, what a terrible career.
And
What a waste.
one of the ways he's getting hurt is every time he gets hurt, right before he gets hurt, his K rate drops. I was looking at his game logs. Right before he gets hurt, his strikeout rate goes way in the tank.
Interesting.
So it goes to show at least he's trying to pitch with a hurt arm. So you got to give him credit for that. But you got to also remember when they tried to put him in the closer's role, he couldn't handle it mentally. But he's on the team because he's got no options left. At least he's only signed for a year. Then another guy who I do believe was a one-hit wonder and is nothing more than a middle reliever, but does have an option left, is also 30 years old, is Ian Hamilton. He threw 58 innings in 23 and only 37 innings last year because he got hurt. His K rate dropped by a strikeout per 9. His hits per 9 went up by 2 hits per 9. And his inherited runners scored went way up last year. And his walk rate went down. So we'll see what happens. But I don't think he's a high leverage guy. I think he's a 6th inning guy, and you got to hope he has it. And then the best hope for the next high leverage guy is a guy we both love, and we're hoping Blake can fix him. And that's the 35-year-old Fernando Cruz.
I love this guy.
I love him too. 22. This is amazing because didn't get to the majors till 22, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get to the minors, even though he was drafted in 2007. He didn't get to the minors till 2011. But in 22, his strikeout rate was 12.89 per 9 in the majors. 23 was 13.36 per 9. Last year it was 14.72 per 9. It goes up and up and up. It's only going up. Of course,
and it's the cutter. Is it the cutter or the splitter? Which is
it's a splitter. It's a fastball. He's also every season his walk rate has been okay. Last year was up a little to 4.73, but he's generally around 4.5 walks per 9, which is 1 every 2 innings. Mm-hmm. So, he does walk guys, and he allows home runs, which is kind of scary. Mm-hmm. But he played in Cincinnati, which is a smaller park than Yankee Stadium. If Blake can make him what we think Blake can do, he's thrown 66 innings in 23 and 66 innings in 24. If he becomes the 7th inning guy, Weaver the 8th, Williams the 9th, they've got a pen that would be unhittable. Cruz is the key to the pen, I think. The other guy that's important and also has no options is Tim Hill. Obviously, coming back as a lefty. The only lefty, as Kramer likes to say. Lots of grounders in 67 innings. He threw his best 44 innings of his career for the Yankees last year, though. He has an extremely low strikeout rate and an extremely low walk rate. The question is, was the 44 innings with the Yankees an aberration, or is he actually somebody that Blake worked his magic on? But he's on the team because he's got no options. What do you think the odds of Tim Hill being as good this year as last year?
I don't think it's humanly possible. Then again, he came in late, so he's terrible with the White Sox. Came in with them.
Well, everybody was terrible with the White Sox.
So that's just it. And you got a new life. So I think that's it's entirely possible that he's going to be a lot better than we thought. Than he was last year for a significant time frame. Right. Maybe we can see this for a while. Who knows? But it's the likelihood is not good that he'll be able to recreate it. And you know what? At this price point, all right, so be it.
Yeah, he's at $2 million or whatever it is.
It's bad. Goodbye. He's on a 1 year they give him a 1 year with an option. What's the deal?
It's a 1 year, I believe.
1 year. Good. Do the 1 year and then move on. And
Hill's contract, just so you know, Hill's contract is $2.5 million for this year with a club option for $2.85 next year. Mm-hmm. It's got a $350,000 buyout. Yeah. So, gotta like that. The other guy with no options that's going to be on the team is Mark Leiter Jr. He's going to be 34 in March.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's just see if he's the playoff version or he's or if it's the season version, because he did not look good when he came.
Well, it was an off year in 24 for him, but his K rate was higher than it's ever been at 13.34, and his walk to strikeout ratio is fantastic, and he's consistently throwing 60 innings every year for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, you know what you're getting. The problem is, it's not wonderful,
Mm.
right? It is what it is. But he's going to be on the team. Hill's going to be on the team. They have no options. JT Brubaker's got to be on the team. Gomez has to be on the team. I mean, that's 4 or 5 relievers right there that have to be on the team because they have no options.
Yep.
The other guys with options are Scott Efros, who is fantastic when he got to the Yankees, and we haven't really seen him. And last year, did you know he threw 35 innings last year in AAA and was very effective?
But they didn't bring him
I
up.
didn't know he threw that many innings last
He
year.
did, and they didn't bring him up. They kept leaving him down. I kept saying, why is he even coming up?
He's got a hugely high ground ball rate. I was just very surprised.
I'm optimistic. I think he's healthy. If he's healthy, we could actually enjoy this guy.
Yeah, if he's healthy, I think he's also another guy with the Jeff Nelson arm angle.
There it is.
So I mean, he's similar to Cousins in that sense. He doesn't strike out as many guys as Cousins.
There it is. All right, my friend. It is 8:00. We are.
No. Do you have anybody else you want to talk about?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Tyler Metzik is signed, and he's been out for a year.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
So the Yankees have a lot of risk involved, and they seem to have some bullpen depth.
All right.
Hopefully it works
we'll
out.
See how that goes next week. We'll talk more about the details of spring training. Next week, they'll all have reported. They'll be working out. They'll be almost ready to start games. The games
I heard they're
start
going to
next
sign
week.
Travis Kelce so they can get Taylor Swift to come to the games to increase attendance.
So she can get booed. There it is. All right.
All right. You have a good one. Stay out of trouble, or at least don't get caught. And
stay out of jail.
Shows on YouTube as well as here on the Mic'd Up app. Ladies
Thank
and gentlemen,
you, folks.
good night.
Bye-bye.